I said it at the same time. It's the little things that make me happy. All right. So yeah, I'm gonna say a prayer. Taking that centering breath of love and gratitude. So grateful for this time to come together to be the two or more gathered in the name and the nature of love, especially on this beautiful Valentine's Day. Grateful for our willingness and dedication and devotion to shining away any and all blocks to love so that we can be that beacon of light, that beacon of love that we were meant to be in this world. We're so grateful for our oneness and for our mighty companions, our earthly and heavenly helpers that walk with us and talk with us. We ask that they join us now, blessing everyone here, all who may listen later, and blessing this conversation. May it be a healing conversation. We are grateful to have open hearts and to be willing to remain open for receiving the all good of God, all of the Valentine's gifts for today. And we're grateful to share those gifts, those blessings, and the love that we are with everyone because we are one with them. In grace and gratitude, we let it be. And so it is. Amen. Mm-hmm. So I could rest in that space for a little while. So we are in the Manual for Teachers, section 20. What is the peace of God? And I'm going to start us with mostly the first two paragraphs, but yeah, that's where I'll begin us. It has been said that there is a kind of peace that is not of this world. How is it recognized? How is it found? And being found, how can it be retained? Let us consider each of these questions separately, for each reflects a different step along the way. First, how can the peace of God be recognized? God's peace is recognized at first by just one thing. In every way, it is totally unlike all previous experiences. It calls to mind nothing that went before. It brings with it no past associations. It is a new thing entirely. There is a contrast, yes, between this thing and all the past. But strangely, it is not a contrast of true differences. The past just slips away, and in its place is everlasting quiet. Only that. The contrast first perceived has merely gone. Quiet has reached to cover everything. And it was so interesting reading this morning because I woke up this morning feeling agitated for no apparent reason, but I was just agitated. Like everything was, I don't know, it just felt a little off. My mind was running thoughts about things that I'm not happy with, judgments that I have about myself and where I am right now. I made a little note here. It says, yeah, woke up agitated, not happy with myself, my choices, judgments galore. And then after sitting for 5 minutes with today's lesson, even though nothing else changed, I was feeling peaceful. Not that it lasted. I went back into the judging and the agitation. Like I got in the shower, I got this new shampoo. I don't like the way that it smells. It's too perfumey. And the body wash that I used to get, they changed the scent of that. And like all these little things were just like ping, 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 little, just agitating. But it's my choice to stay in that agitation or not. And what I did after that was I did a meditation, and then I went to my yoga class, and like those two things just helped to wipe out the cobwebs in my mind that were bringing all of that crappy mind wandering. And he says at the end of paragraph 3, what but peace is opposite to war? Here, the initial contrast stands out clear and apparent. Yet when peace is found, the war is meaningless. And it is conflict now that is perceived as non-existent and unreal. So I went from feeling like this morning, like I just mad at the world, is how I guess I would describe it, to, you know, meeting, I'm here with you guys and I'm feeling giddy. Like, let's have fun. So just noticing how quickly, how easily our emotions can flip-flop from one to the other, and how we really do have control over our thoughts. And we can just laugh at when we're not resting in the peace of God. Go ahead, Carla.
Okay, sorry. So I noticed a word that I used to use a lot. I still use it less, but it's control. Control it's actually mastery. It's actually mastery over your thoughts. Which thoughts you choose is true. So I could go on about this this lesson, this boy read it, but because I want to keep it as short as possible. I want to explain my experience, because appearances aren't real. We think they're real. They think it's upsetting. It's this, it's that, and it's not. So I have a poem that I wrote a month ago, but wasn't living it, and so spirit, life, whatever, gave me exactly the experience I needed. So I've been in this app group. There's like 25 of us in this game for like 2 years, and it's been such a teacher. And I'm learning all the time from it. And there's a person on our team that I thought I was really close friends with, and I'm doing more typos in my text, and so I said, "Oh, Joan," and then instead of "Hi, Joan," and I think I was putting an obvious typo, and I said, "Oh," I tried to make a joke of it, like, "Oh, that's half a ho, right?" And so I let it go. Well, she left the team 3 days ago and she didn't tell me. She didn't say she was upset, but she told the leader that she's mad at me. She's upset at me because how I treated her, because I called her a hoe. And everybody was upset. Like, it was an obvious type. It's just, this is story, okay? This is what someone told me. She's a Black woman. And that's when you say hoe to a Black woman, it's supposedly, so it brings up all the history of how they're treated, how they've been treated for so long. And that's why she left, whatever. So I texted her and I said, "I am so sorry. I never had anything. I meant it." And she was like so committed to her position, which is not wrong. But and for a little bit, I tried to convince her that it wasn't true, but then I just let her be where she was. And I'll say, my last text was this. She said she wants to stay friends. And I'm like, friends? I mean, I was upset. I didn't go to love. I didn't go to love. But I was writing someone, but I won't read that. But I did go to love in this, this moment. There are friends who interact and ones who don't. And I have found that once someone leaves the team, there is little interaction. I wish you all the best. We can be the interacting type of friends, but you will always be my friend. And I know it touched her. And yesterday, she came back to the team. I mean, I didn't have to convince her. I didn't have to. So I just had to stay. Not had to, it's really words, but I chose to stay in love. And then she got to choose whatever she wanted to choose. So I've been really attached to this. So I'm going to read a poem that I wrote a month ago, but I wasn't, look, I focus on love. I speak about love. I bring it up. I'm not totally choosing love. I don't want anybody to we are what we're as we're created always, forever. But in that moment, we're what we choose. So how do I choose this? So I wrote a poem, it's called How. How can you be loving and accepting without being hurt? What if though you are sharing from kindness and love, they are not receptive and even critical? They say they don't need your advice, your love, your help. Then how do you respond? With peace. You continue being loving and accepting, and allow them to choose their own path. Remember, expectations are disappointments waiting to happen. Also remember, if they are free to choose their own path, you are just as free. Free to allow, free to choose, free to love any way we choose. So love yourself by what you choose. Allow the thoughts and feelings and choose love to the best of your ability. How does that look? I do not know how it will look for you, but I do know how it will feel. So do you. Peace. Peace without attachment. Peace without end. No matter what is chosen by everyone. So what if you were peaceful for only a short time? You were just practicing. What we practice grows. It takes as long as it takes. If you stop, the progression ends for a time, but in truth, there is no end. So pause, take a breath, choose again. Begin again when you are rested or ready, and be kind to yourself. Whatever happens, that is peace. That is the peace of God and yours, should you choose.
Thank you, Carla. Beautiful. Mary Lee.
Yes, I was thinking about Carla's words and reminded that it does seem like many times we're given a lot of opportunities throughout a day. The reaction of Carla's, the woman she was mentioning there at Carla's mistyping of the word hi, and it came out whole. Such a small thing, and it often seems, I think, that our peace is interrupted by others, or at least I find this, defensiveness. Mm-hmm. And I have a neighbor that we're constantly jarring each other. It seems like I let myself be put on the defensive pretty fast with her. And I don't, at the moment that a small text comes through, oh, it might be all friendly or, happy Valentine's Day or something like that. But it doesn't take very much interaction before a defense comes into play. And I had asked for her help. It's been at least a couple months ago now, on an ordering of it's an exercise equipment thing that I just wanted to have the company's name, and it looked right for me. And so she offered to help me order it, and which I had actually asked for. I had asked for that help initially, but she also has a lot of pain, so she started interjecting how, this every day is pretty terrible for her, and it doesn't take long before you realize how terrible her days are. And so she wrote back, well, you'll do great, do it yourself, you'll do great. And I retorted with, I know no such thing. Where false reassurance is where that comes from. So it sets up in me a defense right away, which I'm thinking afterwards, well, I'm going to try to make that more peaceful now again. That was a retort that could have been a little more calmly. If every day was terrible for me, and it's not, but if I had that experiences she's going through, maybe I would be really, in that space. So what Carla was saying is, we have lots of moments through the day that we can give a peaceful reaction, and often defensiveness is one that I find, and then I choose to correct it because I don't like that space. Like, well, why did I have to defend that? If this person is in pain and not having good days, maybe I could say something a little more pleasant, anything to maybe up that temperature in her life experience from there. But it's interesting that there are those people and that defensiveness reaction. And just one more quick thing, when you were reading, and in that second paragraph, how about quiet, the past just slips away, in its place is everlasting quiet. Only that quiet has reached to cover everything. That actually made me think of death, because that would be so wonderful to have that state constantly. I wonder if anybody else got that reaction, like, well, how in the world would you ever get that in this world of war? Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Mary Lee, for all of that. Yeah, and he does talk about death a little further down. Living is joy, but death can only weep. You see in death escape from what you made, but this you do not see, that you made death, and it is but illusion of an end. So that, quiet reach to cover everything. I guess I've had thoughts that where I feel like death could bring that, but everything that I have experienced or heard from people who have been able to connect with people who have died, that it's not just, you're not really resting in peace. You're going on, you know, like that Esther Hicks says, you never get it wrong, but you never get it done. So I feel like death is kind of like graduation to the next thing. You know, like you graduate from high school and then possibly go into college. So I don't know that, and it, you know, it could be, I don't know that death would be that sense of rest, that never ending quiet, that never ending peace. It's possible. That's not my sense though. My sense is that we continue on, more like in the book Testimony of Light, where the two nuns, the one nun passed away and she was speaking to the nun that was left behind on the earth about, you know, kind of like her adventures of what she was doing afterwards. And it was, she was still kind of continuing with her work of service. And, you know, it could be more peaceful, but maybe not. I don't know. So I kind of, I don't look as, and that's, it's probably because in my years of depression, I had those thoughts of, you know, like death would put me out of my misery and I would finally find peace. But I don't have that anymore because I don't look at death as an end to anything really. It's just a laying down of the physical vehicle that we've been using to navigate this world. I hope that makes some sense. Hi, Robin. Did you wish to share?
Well, I'll just apologize. I'm going to be late on Tuesdays a few more times.
Yeah, that's okay.
And I'm glad to be here now. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm glad you're here now too.
Thank you.
I saw Fabiola had her hand raised a little bit ago, but she put it down. Did you still wish to share, Fabi?
Or no, because you just beat me to it, because barely yesterday I got in the mail the book that Jennifer recommended.
Yes.
I bought it used, and I was reading it last night, and I was just going to comment what you just said, that it just continues in another plane, and you get to evaluate to your life. That's what it says.
Yeah.
And what still you have to correct. And yes, like she's still serving in another plane, being a teacher, and yes, you got it.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm glad you're reading that. I love that book. I love that book. I would read it over and over. Thank you for sharing that. Nancy Gale and then Grace.
Yes, excuse me. I like that book too. What I was going to say was back, I don't know, let's see, this is February. Back in October, November, whenever the chemo was after this fifth infusion thing, which I had a terrible reaction to, and I almost died. So, but what I remember is that experience was like, I remember Amy couldn't, like, she was shaking me, trying to wake me up, my daughter, and she couldn't wake me up, but I could, she thought what she thought. But anyways, I was like, oh my gosh, this is so, I was so peaceful and happy. And I said, and I had to make a decision. And I thought, really, do I have to? This is really weird. And it was like, I really wanted, it's like, I wanted to stay where it was happy and peaceful and everything was fine, at that moment. And I thought, no, 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 don't do that to her or my grandson and everybody, right? But I still can remember, it's sort of like a visual image, or sort of the memory of how peaceful it was. And I thought, and then that's what I remember from that. And then Jennifer keeps saying that death is relationships continue, just like in the testimony, like relationships continue. They don't just like, they're not, that's not an end to them. And then when I was reading the lesson, or I was listening to the lesson for today, the insights, like you read today's lesson, just goes right. It's like, what is it? Synchronicity. It all goes together. And it says something about death. Um, I don't know. It all goes together. And it says, um, oh, how do we make, once we get that, how do we, the peace, once we get to the peace, how do we maintain it? And it says, what I remember is, he said something about willingness is the key. It's like Jennifer said, that's her mantra, one word mantra. It said willingness. It's the willingness, etc. I don't know. I'm gonna stop now because I'm starting to go gibberish. But everything is, it's all today's everything. And her prayer, the blog that goes with her prayer, daily prayer. It's all one theme, and it's just all beautiful. So I would suggest strongly that everybody read all three together, one right after the other one. Just amazing, totally amazing. Oh, and I wanted to say something of the workshop, the self-love workshop on was it Sunday? And it was 3 hours. Jennifer just went, we didn't even, we had two what do you call it, breakouts, but we never had a break. And then she got to the end, she said, oh my gosh, the time's up. And it was like she would have gone on for the rest of the day. And I swear it was like it's like she was on whatever. It was just so brilliant. And the first breakout was, I had this total wonderful miracle, breakthrough miracle that I would never, and I wasn't going to go because I was kind of like, the way I'm feeling and everything. And at the last minute, it's like Spirit said, no, 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 you need to go. I got that nudge. And I'm so glad I did, because I would never, this is the only place, this own community, the only place I could have possibly ever had that experience. And which was the answer to, or the explanation of why, when somebody, I say something, and somebody starts to respond or counter it, or I get, like you're talking defensive. I totally go defensive, and it's like I feel like I'm attacked just for expressing my idea. And then it's like it was a realization that, oh, well, that goes back to your mom and your whole entire life. I've never been able to express myself without somebody judging or criticizing, or um, saying something opposite. Or my entire life, I've never had an experience where it was a discussion. I've never had one of those in my entire life. And I could have, if I hadn't gone to that workshop and been in that breakout, of course, we know Spirit organized that breakout for that whole thing, I would have died without ever knowing that what was the cause of my behavior, that behavior. And it was like this massive, wonderful miracle, and which I shared, of course, and told him that. And it was about, so I see, maybe, I wonder, here's a question. I wonder if death means the end of the ego, because it's the end of this physical world, which we each made in when we chose to separate, apparently separate from God, and go off on our own little thing. And oh man, losing my train of thought. We had to, that's when the ego came into play. That's when the Holy Spirit came into play also. God created spirit, so we wouldn't permanently be, think we were unattached to him, but, and so the ego had to make something to for our little own little domain here or something. Anyways, I'm done. But if I could please put it all together in your own
Yeah,
way.
thank you, Nancy Gill.
Okay.
Yeah, I do love how all of those things today had a connection. And as far as the ego being gone when we die, won't that be something fun to find out? It'll be a new adventure. That's how I like to look at it. So
Yeah, I
thanks.
just had that thought.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Awesome.
Okay,
Great.
thanks.
You're
Thank you.
welcome, honey. Go ahead, Grace, but you're muted, my friend.
Thank you. Well, Nancy Gale, I just want to correct you there that we
Oh, boy.
listen to you here, honey. You have a captive audience here whenever you want. And we love you. So a couple of things. I don't know what the book was that Fabiola mentioned, but I have been reading The End of Death by Nouk Sanchez. And it's been fantastic. She's pretty enlightened. She says that death is the ego's strongest card. And we are lulled into thinking we'll be done with all this pain. But death is an ego construct because God is life and there's no opposite to life. So if you get the chance to read that book, it'll make you think. I'm still thinking about it all the time. And the piece that Linda talked about this morning, when we tap into that sacred moment, that's the only piece. So that's the one worth going after. So I want to tell you a little continuation of my story last week. I hope Leslie's here. Hi, Leslie, yes. So I had a session with Kiran J, and I told her what had come. I said, I had an experience with a friend last week where I judged her as being a blooming, hopeless friend. And then I said to myself, I knew enough to say to myself, am I a good friend to her? Am I a good friend to everybody? And it ended up with, am I a good friend to God? And I thought about it and I thought, well, I don't give God that much attention like you would a good friend. You know, God's around when you need him, and other than that, you can get busy. So I decided to make God my best friend. And first thing in the morning, I started listening to Nouk Sanchez and Corinne Wilson, do a little talk and read the Course in Miracles of the Day. And then I listened to Karen Worth, that I think somebody here told me about. She does like a half an hour, reads the lesson of the day and does a meditation. And then we've got so much other stuff. We've got so much stuff online. I don't know how people used to manage before we had Audible and the websites. And so I do that. And so Kiran J was like, well, great. And then she said, and if you want to go to a higher level, and she's always got a higher level, right, for you to work on. If you want to go to a higher level, just do that throughout the day, and you'll notice who you're listening to, ego or spirit. But anyway, the book, The End of Death, is part of a trilogy, and it's cast a lot of light on all these questions about death. You know, that death is nothing to do with God. It's ego's invention. And a lot of people, you know, especially people who consider suicide, they think that's a way out. That's ego's. Ego wants us to do that. It wants us to die. Because by our death, ego lives and it carries on afterwards. So, but anyway, good news is that the peace of God, that sacred moment, if we ask for it, we have it. And that's the peace. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing all that, Grace. Yeah, Karen J, she, you know, pedal to the metal kind of girl. Yeah. Awesome. Gwen.
Every little word you say, or you know, just every little comment you might make, she goes, oh, about that. So you know, everything's going to be stopped. Every little thought we have, she makes you think about.
This is a lot of food for thought, is it not, to take to heart? Because I really liked everybody's perspective today. I like that, what Nancy Gale said about, you know, death being the end of ego, but yet, you know, there's so much contemplation and perspectives about what is waiting in that next life experience for all of us. I mean, I've heard things where you'll experience what you expect to experience or whatever, you know, so, but I find that that is interesting, and I totally agree. You know, certainly suicide is what, you know, ego would want us to choose to do, to check out and not continue to go forward and evolve as spirit beings, you know. Also, the whole idea of peace, this certainly is something that you have to work on and really attend to all the time. And I get a continuous opportunity to do this because I'm working as a customer service rep for a medical supply company. That's my main job, but I'm also a homeopath and a Reiki practitioner besides that. But I'm talking to people all day long. And so many times, you know, I got people that are just, you know, upset or angry, or sometimes profanity, not that often, but, you know, or whatever gambit of emotions. And I'm meeting them and wherever they're at. And I try to remember, this is not about me. And I find that usually they're right, or they have a reason for feeling the way they do. However, it's, you know, I have to check myself, you know, how am I going to respond? And I find more than anything, I had a customer yesterday who was just kind of went into some of her health issues. And I just said, you know, at the end of the day, I am so grateful. I have some, you know, my own concerns, my, you know, things I need to work on, my weaknesses, my challenges. And I'm like, God, thank you, God. I will take the ones I have. I will handle them, you know. I don't, and yet allowing for opportunity for more compassion for others. So this was a really great reading this week on peace. I'm like, yes, you know, and I have that at moments. There's moments where I feel joyful and totally just on the, and I was going to mention too, really quickly, I noticed Jennifer's word or little message this morning. The one thing I quickly read was, being Valentine's Day, you know, how Spirit, God, is the beloved. And I loved that because I was like, okay, I have Valentines, my daughters, my grandchildren, and my grandson is 9. And before he left for school, because he comes here to catch the bus, I just enveloped him with hugs and said, we have to have a kiss here. It's Valentine's Day, you know, and he was so sweet and he hugged me and we had a moment. But I loved what Jennifer said. That's a great thing to remind ourselves.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you, Gwen. Yep. The ultimate Valentine, right? Anybody else like to go ahead, Leslie?
Thank you, everyone, for your shares. What comes to mind with what Carla said and what Mary Lee mentioned too is, I just love how Jennifer's intention is to not be botherable. You know, basically, I mean, Carla, you handled that woman great, because it's just like, oh, OMG, really? Lighten up, lady. You know, it was a typo. And you were very compassionate and I think very sweet with her. I wonder if I would have sent her a whole pono myself, but it's just, texting is so weird anyway, because, you know, you don't get any body language, you don't get any verbal. I mean, it's a lot of it is how you take a text too. So I know my intention. I try to wake up in the morning with an intention of being unbotherable and not to take things personal. And Gwen, you sound like you have a job similar to mine where you're dealing with people's problems all day long. And I just have to take myself out of the equation and just let God, you know, work through me and listen compassionately. And at the end of the day, I'm like, thank you, Jesus. My problems are nothing. Yeah. So I just wanted to mention that. I like that, being unbotherable. What a great intention. And this was a very nice read, short and sweet. And the fact of the matter is, none of us knows what it's like, what death is like. So I always say, not to be weird, but I'm kind of looking forward to it. I mean, it's going to be very interesting.
Exactly.
Not that there's any rush, but yeah. But I do love reading end of life stories. They fascinate me. And I'm glad you got out of your funk, Linda. That's awesome. I had a little bit of that yesterday too. And then I just caught my thoughts, what I was thinking. I'm like, Leslie, you're choosing to feel sorry for yourself. It's just a thought you had. You can change it right now. And I did. So yeah. I was grateful for that.
Oh, thanks, Leslie. Yeah, it's funny because I do also like to read near-death experiences and stuff like that. And but I take it with a little grain of salt, because my uncle, who does not have a spiritual bone in his body, he lived with his parents all of his life. He took care of them as they got older. And he laughs when I talk about my spiritual stuff, but he said, the only dream I ever had of my mother after she died was she came to me in my dream and she said, we all end up making ketchup. And so, you know, there's all of these ideas of what death is like. Maybe we just all end up making ketchup. So yeah, I just think it'll be a fun adventure to figure it out. Fabi, and then Linda K.
I just wanted to comment that I love that one sentence summarizes the whole purpose of the course. This sentence where it says, forgive the world and you will understand that everything that God created cannot have an end, and nothing he did not create is real. In this one sentence is our course explained. So all these beautiful metaphysical book is summarized in Forgive the World. And I love that. And something else that I like to share, I love that verse at the very end where it says that it talks about a universe beyond the sun and the stars, and that I did misunderstood. I did misunderstood it when I read it the first time, because I thought that it was saying that God created a universe that is beyond the sun and the stars. But rereading it right now, I realize I misunderstood. And it's not saying that God created a universe beyond the sun and the stars. It just says that the universe beyond the sun and the stars and all the thoughts of which we conceive belongs to us. But it does not say that he created any universe. Mhm.
Yep, we're making it up as we go. It's just our playground in our mind. Yeah, thank you for that. Linda, to you. Oh, you're still muted, honey.
I said I must have bumped the camera because I spotted the phone with me walking past and doing groceries, and sorry about that.
No, it was perfect because we got to see your husband greet you as you came home, and that cute little kiss and a hug.
Are you serious? You saw that?
It was perfect for Valentine's Day. I
Oh my
loved
God.
it.
And I was holding back, bawling my head off.
Oh,
So I could use some guidance. And it's so, Nancy Gale talked about how all those readings fit together. For me, everything everyone has said this morning, no matter what the topic or the way they're describing, like every little piece was fitting together for me. I've been working on financial work for about a week straight. Very long hours, just spreadsheet, more looking at numbers and hard realities that come with numbers sometimes. And it's been emotionally and physically, really more than anything, emotionally exhausted, because all the conversations that are going on around the numbers and situations. And in my spreadsheet work, I thought, well, yeah, so how long have I not been pulling my full income? And so I did a spreadsheet on how long I haven't really been well and pulling my full weight. And the numbers were staggering. I had no idea. Basically, my husband's given up his entire retirement just to support me because I wasn't well all the time. And this coming from a kid who's always worked. I've worked since grade school. That's all I've ever done is work. And actually, I like to work. So I'm a pretty happy camper when I'm working. And unlike a lot of people who, cleaning the house, scrubbing toilets, raking leaves, mowing lawns, taking care of elderly people, washing, I just did every grubby Midwestern job there was to do. And so I never anticipated at any time in my life that someone else would be supporting me. I mean, really supporting me, paying a mortgage without me contributing to paying a mortgage. And I found that out this weekend. And I think I have a lot of unworthiness around that. And in guilt. And it also explains my husband's ongoing
Uh-oh, I think we lost Linda. I'm gonna give her just a second or two, see if she comes back. I know sometimes if you're using your phone, like if you get a phone call or something, it can throw your sharing off. Oh, she's coming back. Are you there, my friend? We lost you for a second. There you are. You're still connecting to audio though, so we can't hear you yet. And you maybe not can hear us either. There you go.
I keep trying, a call keeps coming in and blocking me.
Yeah, that's
Anyway, so I about all this stuff and thinking about his unhappiness, and I'm not responsible for his happiness, but to know that I'm in some way a huge contributing factor doesn't necessarily feel good. But I also know I've been doing the work for a year and a half straight, man. I've been doing just all the hard work there is to do, and it's a lifetime of work that we do. And I did a lot of work prior to this past year and a half of work. So this morning I thought, so I'm up, I couldn't sleep last night. I'm texting Yvonne, it's like 2 a.m. I think I hear things. And then I put the front door light on. I get up to go to the store. I'm gonna make my husband scones for Valentine's Day because I have nothing else in mind, nothing planned. And I thought that'll make him happy. I get into the car. They stole our catalytic converter again. And we have a shield on top of our catalytic converter. I had asked the angels to protect the cars before I go to bed. I ask every night if they surround them. And it's just so interesting what the mind does. And also I'm so sleep deprived, and I'm just emotionally spent, not a really good place for anybody to be in, but it's a real dangerous place for me to be in. And I thought, what did I do wrong with asking the angel? I didn't ask right. I wasn't grateful enough. Did the angels hear me last night? I thought I was having hallucination. I have sometimes auditory hallucinations. And I'm sitting there on the sofa and I'm like, I think I'm having a hallucination. Oh no, I haven't had that for a long time. This is really dangerous right now. Like I'm telling myself, you've got to pay attention to all this because you're not quite right if you're having hallucinations. As I'm texting Ivana and doing some other things. Through also reading my beloved book that helps me with my God, all the God stuff. And I'm just kind of watching myself this morning like, wow, you think you're responsible for what happened to the car. You think you're responsible because you thought you heard noises. You even turned the front door light on at 2-something in the morning because you could have sworn you heard noises. But did you ever go to the window? No, because Raul's up there sleeping. I don't want to wake him up. I could have gone to another window. I could have opened the door, so all these things we do to ourselves. And if I had been a little more rested and a little more balanced, I could not have put it all on myself and said, wow, we don't know what things are for. So I just keep saying that this morning, like we don't know what things are for. But still feeling way too emotional about the whole thing. And it's just the timing with working on all this financial stuff. Like, you kidding me? We have to do this again? And I was afraid to just buy the 3 bags of groceries I got. I don't want to go into scarcity. God is my supply, my enduring, unexhaustible supply. I just have to keep saying that. So anyway, thanks for listening. Any guidance, feedback's welcome.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing all that, Linda. And I'm so sorry that you had that experience, but what I'm hearing that sounds like miraculous or a learning is that now you can trust your senses a little more. So when you were hearing something, instead of assuming that it's from a mental health challenge, just checking to see if something really happened. And absolutely great reminder that you know, that God is your source of all good, and that you don't have to do anything to earn it. You don't have to work to earn it, even though I know that's what's been indoctrinated in us. You are worthy. Like Maya Angelou said, your crown has been bought and paid for. All you need to do is put it on your head. So I hope you can feel that, and you can feel that love. And you absolutely did not do anything wrong when you were calling on the angels to protect the cars. To me, it feels like you had a bit of a premonition that there might be something happening, and you didn't trust yourself. So now you can.
Yeah, but it's odd that I know all of the cars on our street have to be watched, so to speak. And because my bedroom is right next to the car's right below, I can actually hear things, and I've scared them away. And I don't even feel angry anymore. I just know this is a criminal activity, and that's their job. They're just doing their criminal job because they haven't got a better choice or made a better choice yet. And that all the hatred toward what they're doing isn't going to take things, it's not going to solve anything.
Right.
And it's because of this work that I was able to change those thoughts. But
Absolutely.
last night, for having gone and turned on the light, I can't believe, how could I not take it a step further to, I don't know.
Baby
yeah.
steps, baby steps, girl. You're getting there. You're doing it. You did nothing wrong, and you won't forget this lesson because of what happened. So don't beat yourself up. It happened perfectly the way that it was supposed to, or it wouldn't have happened.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you don't know. Maybe it postponed your trip by a little while, and you would have been in an accident or something. Who knows what the reason why? And none of it is real anyways, right?
Yeah, but it's you like when you say, okay, well, it's not real, it's an illusion, but it's
exactly
it's what came before it. It's finding out those numbers,
Yeah.
and having to look at once again, look at the impact on our lives and face the hard realities. And
but it's not there.
So it was like a slap on top. It's like, oh my God, can't believe this.
Yeah. So don't believe.
Yeah, thank you. That's helpful.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah. You're so loved, my friend. Grace, and then Melita, and then we'll wrap it up.
Oh, is it time? Oh, sorry. Okay, so I just want to say that there's a lot of good stuff in what Linda just said, and it was such a blessing to me. On Sunday, I was in a breakout room with Linda, and I saw her on camera, and it was just great. I just feel more connected than ever for just being able to put a face with the name, and it just sounds like you are completely on track, Linda, and I tip my hat off to you. And thanks, Linda Soto, too, for always loving us.
My pleasure, Grace. Melita, did you still wish to share, my friend?
Yes, I'll be quick. Sorry, I didn't see the time either. Hi, everyone. It's so nice to see you. I was just going to say, Linda, something that helps me with being supported by another person is I like to remember that everything comes from God. So it's not my husband. That's, of course, it might look that way, but everything is coming from God. So I don't know if that's helpful, but that's helped me. Thank you.
Melita, somebody had said that same thing to me during one of the difficult financial discussions. Actually, it was Betty, my counselor, one of my counselors. And you know, that God is our supply and it comes through him and, you know, through others to us. And then it goes back around again. That was so helpful. I completely forgot that. Thank you so much. That really helps right now. Thank you. Thank you.
Oh, we love you so much. We love you so much, sweetie. All right, so we are a little over, but today's lesson insights are short, so I will read them anyways. So next week, section 21, what is the role of words in healing? That should be interesting. Insights from Pathways of Light for lesson 45, which is God is the mind with which I think. Many times when I go into meditation, I ask Jesus to help me move through the clouds. If a particular cloud seems to attract me, I ask Jesus to help me see it differently. It happens differently in different situations. Sometimes we talk about it together, and I am given a new perspective in how to view the situation. Sometimes I am given insight into what would be most helpful. Sometimes the cloud just seems to disappear. It's just gone. And then we continue through the clouds. Jesus always leads me to deeper layers of peace. Sometimes he gives me images where we come to a beautiful, inviting, warm pool of peace, and we step in together gradually, going deeper, allowing ourselves to feel the presence of God's peace a little more, and then a little more. I find that Jesus, or the Holy Spirit, is very gentle in leading me into the truth of my being. Jesus knows that we have all the time we need. He asks a little willingness of me, and then he takes over. I have learned to trust his lead. He brings me to deep layers of happiness. All sense of problems disappear. He knows me better than I know myself. I can trust him. When I get involved in the world of form, I lose all sense of what is eternal, what is real. I need these times of following Jesus. Jesus leads me to the place in my mind where truth resides. It is a place past form and cannot be described. This place is in my mind, is always there. It never changes. I am nurtured and sustained here. I feel loved and loving in this place. This is what true sharing is. We share one mind. There is no difference. We are one light. There is no distance between us. By taking time to rest with Jesus, I can then return to my job in the world, being refreshed and reminded of what is real. I can take the peace that I feel with me and practice receiving and extending the peace that is real. I need this practice of diving into that pool of peace often. It brings me the stability and strength. It brings me consistency. It brings me what I need as I continue on in this life. I am so grateful for the help I receive each day and for the pool of peace that is always there to join with each day. There is nothing more important than this. This is real mind healing training, and I need it every day. This lesson shakes up all of my ideas about the reality of my thoughts. It is telling me all the thoughts that I have thought were real are not real. If God is the mind with which I think, then the thoughts of that mind must be holy. They must see only oneness, only innocence, and offer only love. I have to admit that except for momentary flashes of holy instances, my thoughts do not fit this description. Yet I am assured that my mind is part of God's. So beneath the thoughts that I am aware of are my holy thoughts. Just because I have covered them over with unreal thoughts doesn't mean that they are not there. It just means I am not aware of them. Lack of awareness is not justification for guilt, although the ego will tell me it is. It just means I need to learn to be aware. That is what these lessons are here to teach me, and I am deeply grateful for them. I want the peace of God, and that peace is found in the thoughts I share with God. I want to reach those thoughts, so I am dedicated to practicing these lessons as much as I can. Each time I encounter resistance, I acknowledge it and step past it and keep on practicing. That is my job, my purpose. I am assured that it is God's will that I receive his peace, and so it is inevitable that I will succeed. Thank you, God. I continue to see the depths of my guilt. I see all the horrible things that I can imagine happening to me as another form of punishment that my ego creates to show how bad I am and how much I should be punished. But my real thoughts are in my mind. I would like to find them. And so I sit with this lead ball in my mind, and I know that just beyond the cloud is the sunshine and all the love and the peace and the clarity and the benevolence of the mind of God. These lessons are very powerful. They bring up all of what's in the way of thinking with the mind of God. Thank God for the Holy Spirit. He shows us the way. He takes our hand and he walks us through the clouds. All we need do is ask. Yep. That just about covers everything we talked about today.
Thank
So-
you. Thank you,
Yeah,
everyone.
thank you, everybody. Just keeping Carol in our thoughts today as they are letting go of their home of over 50 years. And Kathleen Hogan is having her hip surgery on Thursday. So also send her some love and prayers as well. So thank you, everybody. Love you so
Linda,
much.
this is Nancy. Can you keep me in prayers? We're
Absolutely.
on another decision-making mode for some other kind of treatment, because the surgery on last Monday, did not reveal that the chemo and radiation were not completely successful. So we're having one conversation on Friday morning with the oncologist. So keep me
All
in
right.
your mind.
Absolutely.
Please.
Absolutely, my friend.
Okay, thanks.
You're welcome. Yeah, I love you guys
May
so much.
I make a suggestion? You know how you post the daily insight, the link to it?
Yes.
That is so helpful. I just click on that and then go and listen. And it's like I listen to it at night before I go to sleep, because that's the last thing that's in my mind when I go to sleep. Then I'm just going to be more peaceful and restful sleep.
Absolutely.
And so, and yesterday's lesson 44, it's like part of it's like with today's, it's like it totally goes together. So I
Yep.
suggest that people go back and listen to 44.
Oh, yeah.
It's just amazing.
Thank you, Nancy.
Yeah. Thank you, Nancy. So
Okay.
much love to you all.
Thank you so much for doing that, Linda. It really helps us.
Oh,
Thank
yeah,
you.
absolutely. Absolutely. Love you
Yeah.
guys. See you next week.
Thank you. Bye-bye.